We saw plenty of showers and storms throughout our Monday across the upper Midwest. You are seeing some of those darker clouds moving in from Monday evening in Iowa City, of course, in Iowa. Thanks for joining us here on Weather Nation. I'm meteorologist Kate Mantich, and we are going to have to talk about those showers and storms, some heavy rain into portions of Michigan into the overnight hours. But really, what we saw throughout the day on Monday was that warmth with that warm front. About 15 degrees warmer was that temperature change in the past 24 hours, and that cooler air is working in behind it. Well, we're going to start to see that cooler air filtering in. Not really a major blast of winter-like weather quite yet, but we do have some snow potentially in our forecast as we head into the end of the week. Besides that, we are looking at plenty of clouds. This low, it pushes off into the northeast, and we're still going to have some of that lingering moisture in the form of cloud coverage across the Great Lakes region. But pretty much we're having a quieter day throughout our Tuesday, and then that next system is just off to our northwest. So we don't stay quiet for too long. Some of those clouds could give us some light isolated rain showers into Minnesota as well as into Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan, staying dry but just with plenty of clouds across Iowa, and even seeing those clouds work back into the lower peninsula of Michigan with some rain showers by the start of our Wednesday morning, because we're going to start to see more of that southerly flow working back in for the second day of September. But with it, look, we see the risk of severe really pushing off towards the Ohio River Valley, the northeast, and for us here across the upper Midwest, well, we are just going to have a few chances for some rumbles of thunder throughout our Tuesday afternoon and evening. Temperatures, it's feeling like October outside. 50s and 60s for the most part for highs into Tuesday afternoon. Becoming warm again as we're in that warm sector of this low pressure system. So that means southerly flow pumps in warmth and moisture, and that means we will also have plenty of clouds and rain showers throughout the day. On Wednesday, widespread across the area, but we're going to have to watch this front as we go into the evening hours. Late afternoon, evening is where we could have enough lift and stability along this boundary to give us potentially severe storms for the middle of our week. But one thing I haven't really touched on yet is the cold air that filters in behind this low pressure system. You see some of those blues on the top of your screen. Yes, that is indicating some chance for some snow, mainly across the northern border into Canada, but we will have that cold air filtering in. Out ahead of it, warm and humid, clouds and rain showers into the lower peninsula throughout the overnight hours, but clearing up. By the time you wake up on Thursday morning, high pressure starts to slide in for the day as we start Thursday. I mentioned that risk for severe storms. Well, the Storm Prediction Center even has us under a marginal to slight risk for severe storms into Wednesday across extreme southeastern Minnesota, throughout much of the state of Wisconsin, and even into Iowa. The slight, that yellow color you're seeing, that means this is the region where we could expect to see maybe several severe storms along that boundary. Because look, we're just extremely warm and humid. Those dynamics, those ingredients for severe weather, they're in place across the upper Midwest throughout the day on Wednesday, as we'll have the buoyancy in the atmosphere from the warmth and moisture, lift and stability. It's all there for us to potentially be talking about another day of severe weather with a different low pressure system. But the cold air, it's going to start to filter in right behind it as we go into Thursday. And with Thursday, we start to see clouds working back in and potentially a shot for some snow across northern Minnesota into the day, late Thursday into your Friday morning. Some wintry mix in spots and even start to push into the UP of Michigan as well as northern Wisconsin for the end of those week. So as we see all these low pressure systems working through, we do have multiple rounds of severe weather possible for the start of October, but with it, reinforcing shots of cold air, and that means 50s and 40s for highs on Thursday, even colder with snow possible into Friday as we wrap up our week. So we will have a few more showers into the start of your Tuesday, a few more into Wednesday, and then a bit of a wintry mix on Friday. yesterday, we started to see some of those rain bands associated with Rosa moving into areas like Yuma, Arizona. Heavy tropical downpours, some strong winds with it. That led to even more scenes like this. Those strong gusty winds are going to be a concern, but it's really the rain as we go into the first half of this week. So heavy downpours are definitely going to be a concern for Yuma, even further off into Southern California, Southern Nevada, really across the four corners. And that is just going to be plenty of moisture that's pumped into the area as we go into really the next few days. So we do already have flash flood watches posted from Southern California all the way up to even the Snake River Valley of Idaho into Wednesday morning. Really also flash flood warnings will be possible throughout the rest of the day because all that moisture, it's moving in, and we're going to have to be concerned about that soil just not absorbing it quick enough to retain it, and that means widespread flash flooding is going to be a possibility. As across the Southwest, we're expecting widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain from today into Wednesday morning. Some spots locally even upwards 4 to 5 inches, and that's on top of an area that really can't absorb it too much. We've been dealing with extreme to exceptional drought. The good news is we are going to be seeing Rosa quickly weakening Tuesday into your Wednesday, even as a remnant low by Wednesday morning. So the winds aren't going to be our concern, but we are still going to watch that path and where all that moisture moves into the desert southwest region of the United States. And more on exactly how to interpret that cone that we talk about so much, meteorologist Stephen Glazier has more.
This hurricane season, you'll hear us talk about the forecast cone.
We are expecting a landfall there anywhere within the cone of uncertainty.
But do you really understand what the cone means? Well, let's start with the basics. The National Hurricane Center creates the cone to show a range of possible tracks a tropical cyclone will take over time. The initial position, or the cone origin, shows the current location of the cyclone. From there, the cone shows a widening fan, showing the expected forecast storm intensity and time. The fan widens to indicate uncertainty or the many possible locations of the center of the storm. It is vitally important to remember the cone does not show the size of the system nor the impacts expected. You'll need to look further into the forecast information to find those details, either in a text directly from the National Hurricane Center or on weather broadcasts, including us right here on Weather Nation. For Weather Nation, I'm meteorologist Steve Glazier.
And thank you, Steve, for breaking that down for us, because it's not just Rosa we need to interpret the cone of uncertainty. It's also Hurricane Walaka. That is off towards the east or west and southwest of the island of Hawaii, but that is at now a major hurricane, Category 5 hurricane strength into the central Pacific. Max sustained winds 160 miles per hour, moving off towards the west-northwest. But as we go into the next few days, we're going to see more of a northern movement with it, and we will start to see weakening as we go into the second half of the week. The good news is no direct impacts to land with this major hurricane, but since it is so large and powerful, we are going to see some of those indirect impacts for areas like Hawaii, where some of those wave heights increasing as we go throughout our day on Tuesday into your Wednesday. So some dangerous high surf as well as rip currents going to be a possibility. So if you're not the strongest of swimmers, definitely pay attention to those flags. Maybe call it a pool day, as we will have some dangerous surf across the island of Hawaii. Now, over even towards the east, it's not just Rosa and Walaka we're talking about. It's Sergio, a tropical storm to the really south and west of the shores of Mexico, but that's where we have some of those indirect impacts as well. However, Sergio still moving off towards the west at 14 miles per hour. Also, no direct impacts to land and going to be weakening as we go into the end of this week before strengthening all the way to potentially to a Category 3 hurricane by Thursday. Checked off quite a few of those names across the eastern Pacific, but the Atlantic right now, only one named storm we have that we're watching, and that is Leslie, a tropical storm that's going to be moving down towards the south throughout the first half of this week, potentially strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane. But by Wednesday, we start to see that turn back off towards the north, so another system with no impact, direct impact.
Welcome back to Weather Nation. Here's a time lapse from earlier today out of Chicago, Illinois. I should say earlier Monday. We were talking about some low-hanging cloud cover, and that's kind of something we've been enduring throughout this entire afternoon. We have much more rain to come throughout the remainder of the overnight hours, so make sure that you do stay with us as we continue to track what could be a very wet next couple of hours. We are going to be talking more about the rainfall that's been impacting a lot of areas here across the central region, and that's going to come with the possibility of some flooding potential. We actually have seen a lot of that all across the region from what looks to be in southern Wisconsin, northern areas of Iowa. We're going to continue to watch the possibility of some flooding rains move through over the next couple of days. Flooding has actually already been an issue there, and that is something that could continue throughout the rest of the afternoon. But we also are tracking the possibility of some severe storms throughout the remainder of the overnight. So make sure that you know exactly what to do in case there is a severe thunderstorm warning issued for your area. Our own friend John Van Pelt actually has a little bit more on how to handle severe weather through the overnight hours.
Dangerous weather comes in many forms, and when it comes to thunderstorms, there are several main threats, and there are actual criteria that classify a thunderstorm as severe. All thunderstorms generate potentially deadly lightning and can cause dangerous flooding, but it's the wind, the hail, and tornadoes that determine if the thunderstorm is to be called severe or not.
The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning.
When the National Weather Service issues a severe thunderstorm warning, they expect the storm to produce winds of 58 miles an hour or higher, and/or hail 1 inch or larger,
baseball-sized hail,
and/or with the potential for spawning tornadoes. If warranted because of a radar-indicated or witnessed funnel cloud or tornado on the ground, they'll also issue a tornado warning to replace the active severe thunderstorm warning. The 58-mile-an-hour wind and 1-inch hail criteria were chosen to classify a severe thunderstorm because they are both of a magnitude to create damage to property and a threat to personal safety. And even without tornadoes, severe thunderstorms can cause massive damage over a very long path. Straight-line winds can be powerful, and large-scale wind events called derechos can spread hurricane-force, widespread destruction over hundreds of miles and affect millions of people. An important phrase to remember with any thunderstorm is, when thunder roars, go indoors. Lightning can strike 15 miles from any thunderstorm. And if a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your area, get into a sturdy building and stay away from windows. Wind-driven debris and large hail can break windows and create a shower of glass you don't want to be in. For Weather Nation, I'm John Van Pelt.
Just some good tips to keep in mind as we continue to watch severe weather push through. All part of a system that's ushering in a lot of moisture from the west. So a lot of these storms are going to be moving from west to east as well as we head into the afternoon hours of even our Monday. 61 tonight in Chicago. We're going to be seeing temperatures dip down to 65 in Springfield, 66 in Lexington, and 56 over in Hayes, Kansas. We'll be waking up to mostly cloudy conditions across a good chunk of the region. A few storms could be continuing right along this frontal boundary, if not initiating down across the Tennessee Valley. Looks like we'll have some big boomers rolling in between Nashville and Knoxville, eventually getting over towards Knoxville as we get towards the end of the day. But the biggest threat for seeing damaging winds are going to come really up into areas of central and eastern Ohio, where we have that marginal and slight risk of severe weather. That means Cleveland, Erie, Pennsylvania, over towards Pittsburgh, Morgantown, West Virginia. Just be on the lookout for some pretty hefty storms as we continue through the afternoon hours of our Tuesday. Rainfall is going to be impressive at times for a few folks out there. Overall, temperatures are going to be nice in Chicago at 69 degrees with cloud cover, though. 86 in Memphis and 86 in Wichita as we head into Tuesday afternoon. Our next system begins to roll through as we head into the afternoon hours of our Wednesday. Could bring a couple severe storms to us as well in areas around Manhattan, Kansas, or St. Joseph, Missouri. Overall rainfall is going to be less than 2 inches in most spots, but there's a couple areas that could pick up 2 to 3 inches of rain within the next couple of days, and it could fall in an area that does need it because of the drought concerns that we are watching. Leave you off here with a look at a couple of 7 days, including Cincinnati, where temperatures are going to be running a good 10 to 15 degrees above average over the next week. Louisville, Kentucky also expecting highs near 90 for Wednesday and Thursday before we slowly cool off to the mid-80s. And welcome Welcome back to Weather Nation. We're taking you straight out to the desert southwest, where it definitely doesn't look like a desert outside. We've seen a lot of tropical moisture move through, and with that, it has actually produced some flooding rains here in the Fortuna foothills of Arizona, and also right down towards Yuma, Arizona. Some strong storms have been pushing through, and with the possibility of more heavy rain and more strong storms, we are going to be talking about that flooding potential over the next couple of afternoons. Here's the latest on Tropical Storm Rosa. Winds are at 40 miles per hour, expecting to weaken further down to a tropical depression as it moves a little bit further off to the north. But again, like we've been saying over the last couple of days, it doesn't matter what the wind speed is. It's the amount of rain that's going to come with this system as it drags in some of that tropical moisture from the Pacific. Tropical Storm Rosa likely depression into a remnant low as we head towards Wednesday, but it will track over the desert southwest, pulling with it a lot of that tropical moisture, and unfortunately that means that flooding is going to be a big concern here. Yuma only about a quarter of an inch today. Same story there in Tucson. Phoenix picked up about a quarter of an inch as well, but we could see even more than that. Yuma, Arizona just yesterday saw over a half an inch of rain, which combined with the rest of 2018, they only got about 4/10 of an inch. So we already kind of pretty much doubled what our yearly total has been so far. Now, the average October rainfall, what we typically see through the entire month of October in Yuma, is about 2/10 of an inch, about a quarter of an inch in Las Vegas, and all areas are expecting to get between a half an inch and maybe locally as high as 4 inches of rain, and that's exactly why we have so many concerns with flooding in the forecast over the next couple of days. And we're going to have to still continue to talk about the flooding concerns here all the way through Wednesday, maybe Thursday, because of all the rain.
I mean, some spots across the United States might be thinking 1 to 3, 4 inches. That's not really not that much, but this is a different type of soil here in the Southwest, and it really can't absorb it too quickly. Plus, we've been dealing with extreme to exceptional drought across the area, and that's why flash flooding is definitely our main concern across Southern California into Arizona, even all the way up towards areas like Pocatello into Snake River Valley portions of Idaho. That extends all the way into our Wednesday morning, because as we continue the rest of this Monday, we're going to still see more heavy tropical moisture working in. Now, Rosa, it's going to be weakening as we go into Tuesday. So as Andy was just saying, it's really not the winds we're concerned with. They are going to be breezy across the desert southwest, but it's that rain that works in across Arizona, Southern California, into Southern Nevada, and even pushes off into areas like Utah as well as western Colorado, and that's by tomorrow morning. And then this even continues with plenty of clouds and rain showers all across the Four Corners, all across California and Nevada throughout the day on Tuesday, even into the late hours of Tuesday as well. So that's why for really the first half of this week, we are going to be concerned about that risk for flash flooding across the area. Plenty of rain showers, some spots 1 to 3 inches locally, some could see upwards of 4 to 5 inches of rain as we continue with all the rain from what is right now Tropical Storm Rosa. So across areas like Phoenix over towards Flagstaff is where we're going to see a lot of that moisture working through. And also we could be seeing that risk for some blowing dust, haboobs as we call them, and widespread flooding. That's our main threats when it comes to Rosa's potential impacts. But some could be seeing upwards of 4 to 5 inches all the way today into your Wednesday morning. As we've been saying, it's the rain that's our main concern, but the winds are going to be breezy, increasing those winds as we go through the rest of this evening into the overnight hours, sustained around 5 to even 15 miles per hour. Some stronger gusts within that. Starting to see the strongest of the wind gusts into southern portions of Arizona as we go into Tuesday afternoon and evening. Now, once again, we are going to see Rosa weakening into a remnant low, but still plenty of wind across the area, heavy rain, and even some of those dangerous swells and some high surf into areas like coastal regions of Southern California. So over towards the beaches of Los Angeles, Long Beach, over towards Bismo Beach, that's where we could be seeing surf, 5 to 10 foot surf, and some very dangerous rip currents. So pay attention to those flags on the beach if you're not the strongest of swimmers, and also pay attention on the roads for the next few days because we could have some ponding, flash flooding. If you do see any of that on the roadways, always turn around, don't drown. We'll see the heaviest of the rain for Phoenix, Arizona today into Tuesday, starting to dry up as we go through the day on Wednesday, and finally looking at a dry day as we go into your Thursday.
And welcome back to Weather Nation. Thanks so much for sticking with us as we head into Dallas, Texas back on Monday as the sun was rising over the Metroplex. Beautiful conditions out there, a little bit of cloud cover and a little bit of sunshine to make you throw on your sunglasses every once in a while. We're talking about the South region here and your forecast over the next couple of days. I'm meteorologist Andy Stein. Here we go, talking about the last 24 hours. At first, though, over an inch of rain or just under an inch of rain actually fell in Houston, and about 2/10 of an inch fell there in Corpus Christi. Over that, we saw about 1/4 of an inch there in Brownsville, Texas. Baton Rouge also picked up about 15/100ths of an inch of rain. We weren't talking about any flooding concerns, and that's some good news. We're not talking and we're not looking at any flooding conditions possible over the next couple of days, although the month of September was extremely wet for Galveston, Texas. Take a look at this. We got 24.31 inches of rain throughout the entire month of September. That's over 2 feet of rain. The record rain for the entire month was back in 1885. That was at 26.01 inches, so it was extremely wet across much of Galveston through the month of September. We have a little bit more moisture falling across southern Louisiana throughout the overnight. It's not going to be impacting us too much. We'll be seeing temperatures fall into the 60s and 70s across the entire region. That's pretty much it. There may be a few pockets in a few very localized areas that could see temperatures dip into the upper 50s, but I think for the most part it will be a pretty dry start and a cool start to the day. We will have a few rain showers around for western Texas. That's going to be a possibility. Over towards Louisiana, not looking at too much, but a constant onshore flow is going to continue to bring rain showers on and off throughout the coastline throughout the entire day. Some of these are going to be extremely heavy pockets of rain, which could include rainfall rates upwards of maybe 2 to 3 inches per hour at times, and that's kind of just something we'll have to battle here. Rainfall rates are actually very impressive and very important for measuring rain. Our own meteorologist Meredith Carfallo has a little bit more on exactly what that is and what that means.
About 1/2 inch per hour is the minimal guidance for debris flow, and here we got 1/2 inch in 5 minutes.
Historic rainfall rates that led to catastrophic mudslides in part of Southern California at the beginning of 2018.
We saw rainfall rates that were anywhere from about 4 to even 6 times the rate that we could see for USGS threshold.
Rainfall rates measure the intensity of rain within a certain period of time, which is different from rainfall totals, which is the overall amount of rain expected to fall during a storm.
Well, we're talking about rainfall rates of high intensity. We're looking at those timescales under 1 hour.
Which can be measured by a combination of rain gauges and Doppler radar.
Typically on the order of hourly rainfall estimates and also instantaneous rainfall estimates. We kind of use a combination of both of those with the rain gauges to kind of give us an overall picture of rain rates.
Crucial information you need to know to determine if there is a threat for flooding or mud and debris flow in recent burn scar areas. For Weather Nation, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfallo.
Just some good information to keep in mind there, and maybe something to bring over towards the water cooler as you go to work on Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, we're looking at the possibility of maybe a few thunderstorms across the coastal areas of Texas and Louisiana. Also western Texas, because of the tropical flow coming in from what is right now Rosa. That'll bring some moisture into western Texas, and really the entire forecast that we did on Tuesday going to be kind of repeated here as we head into the day on Wednesday. So a little bit of rain in the forecast, and a couple of different systems going to be rolling their way through. This is actually going to produce a lot of heavy rain for southern Louisiana, the possibility of 2 to 3 inches of rain there. And our next system likely to bring some rainfall up into areas north of Oklahoma City, but you can see where we do have some extra and additional moisture around. So we're looking at some drought relief, at least a little bit of that drought relief moving in over the next couple of days. A very rainy pattern setting up for Houston, Texas over the next 7 days. We're looking at temperatures staying steady right about or just right above average for this time of the year. Oklahoma City also looking at some pretty temperate temperatures we can call them, but they will be a little bit above normal for part of this work week. Really, it's not going to be until the weekend where we see those temperatures dip back to around, if not below average. And look at this in Dallas, temperatures approaching 90 over the next couple of afternoons before we see our next systems move in by the end of the week, which will be just in time for your weekend plans. So keep that in mind. Could be talking about some rough weekend weather here across the South. Little Rock, Arkansas, kind of a similar story for you as we endure temperatures in the 90s by Wednesday and Thursday, and a cool down for this weekend.
Welcome back to Weather Nation. Well, we are going to have to talk about some of those rain showers across much of the Great Lakes region throughout the rest of this evening. That includes you, Chicago, Illinois. We could even see some of those stronger storms firing off as well into late hours of this Tuesday. But thanks for joining us here on Weather Nation. I'm meteorologist Kate Mantich. We have a slight, even marginal risk for severe storms across the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes because of this low pressure system. Throughout the day, you may have been really wondering, what day is it? Because the calendar says October 1st, but it feels more like August 1st because of just the warmth and humidity across much of the Midwest. And with that warm front, we're also just talking about temperatures well above average across Missouri, Illinois, into the Ohio and Tennessee River Valley. But behind it, that colder air filters in with that low, and that's where temperatures are about 10 to 20 degrees below average. So with that contrast of air masses, that's where we have that risk for severe storms. And with the storms, we could have that chance for maybe some of those large hailstones across the area, dangerous wind gusts over 58 miles per hour, and even an isolated tornado is not out of the question as these cells start to fire off still into the rest of this Monday. So timing it out for you, we are going to see the bulk of the rain. We saw some heavy rain, even record-setting rain for today in areas like Madison, Wisconsin. That's going to push to the east of Lake Michigan into the lower peninsula, but still a few of those isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible across northern Illinois into the late hours tonight. But really, by the time you're waking up on your Tuesday morning, the bulk of the activity, it's off into the Ohio River Valley as well as the Northeast, and we're looking at a drier start to the day. But as that shift, the low pressure shifts off towards the east, so does that risk for severe storms throughout the day tomorrow. And any of these storms, since it is so muggy out, do really give us the chance for some heavy downpours into really your Tuesday and even Wednesday for us across the area. So Chicago, still some of those showers and storms tonight. Clearing up, though, as we go into your day tomorrow. But Andy, as this first low pressure system starts to move off to the east, right behind it, there is another one for the middle of the week, which also could talk about maybe some much colder temperatures behind it.
You know, it's going to be one of those first potent fall fronts that we see move through a good chunk of the country, and that's kind of something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on and kind of focus on here over the next couple of days here as well. We're looking at Wednesday. This is Wednesday afternoon from really the western edges of the UP of Michigan, the upper peninsula of Michigan, through all of Wisconsin, essentially southeastern Minnesota, through much of Iowa, and all the way extending down into northeastern Kansas. This includes St. Joseph, Missouri, and Omaha, Nebraska. We're talking about the slight and marginal risk of severe storms. This is all going to come with a different system that's actually going to produce more snow for the high plains. And the high plains already saw some snow throughout the afternoon hours on Sunday. Got about a half an inch of snow. That was as of noon. We officially accumulated up to about 1.4 inches of snow there in Billings, Montana, which was the first time that we had snow in September since all the way back in 2000. So it's been quite some time since we've been talking about September snow. Fishtail, Red Lodge, and Park City also got some snow, 2 to 3 inches there. That happened late Sunday evening, and we're going to continue to watch the possibility of more snow accumulating across the northern Rocky Mountains as we head a little bit deeper into Wednesday and Thursday. In anticipation of that, winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings are already issued for the northern mountains. This includes Cut Bank, Montana, Browning, and also Chateau and Conrad, Montana as well. Could be seeing locally on some of the highest peaks upwards of 1.5 feet of snow between now and the end of the work week. So get ready for that. Here we go. Tuesday afternoon, we're going to see some rain showers spark off across the Grand Tetons, also the Montana Rockies, and at that point, we're going to start to see some cooler air filtering, and we'll start to see some snow breakdown across the Bighorn Mountains, across the Grand Tetons, across the Sawtooth Range, and even right around Yellowstone, we could be talking about some snowfall. But eventually, like I alluded to just a little bit ago, we're going to watch this system move through the upper Midwest, and it'll bring some severe weather with it. So a very multifaceted system, obviously bringing snow and obviously bringing severe weather to the upper Midwest. This is something that we're going to have to watch pretty closely over the next couple of days. And this is going to be that next potent cold front that it's going to have a lot of energy with it. So some of those threats that we were watching even for the overnight hours could be watching again as we head into the afternoon hours on Wednesday. Great Falls, Montana, normal high this time of the year, 64, but on Wednesday we're only going to be seeing highs at 42 degrees, a good 20 degrees below normal, and there's a lot more of that to come.